Welcome back to the Shadow Priestess Embodied. I'm your host, Kaylyn Rakowski, and thank you for joining me today for another deep dive and exploration into your inner world, into your body, the shadow realms, where we will begin to explore some of these esoteric principles and really begin to drop them down into modern day application and embodiment. This is a sacred place where you can begin to truly meet yourself, meet your medicine, and to meet your magic. This is a place of remembrance. Take a deep breath and let's begin. All right, you guys, welcome back for another episode of the Shadow Priestess Embodied Podcast. I have a treat for you today. I am inviting one of my very first mentors I ever had, Connie, onto the podcast. And she is just an absolute incredible human being, a light. And I wanted to take a minute to shower you with some love because I don't think I've ever given you the proper thanks that you really deserve. So I met Connie when I was 20 years old. And at that point, I didn't even believe in God or anything. And I met her at such a pivotal time in my life. And oh my gosh, I'm going to cry.
I know, me too. Sorry. Go ahead.
Keep showering me. No, but you really took me under your wing and really taught me about just everything at that point in my life, how to connect with myself, how to connect with God, really just finding this newfound, just like love for life when I was in such a dark place. And I just wanted to thank you because without you, I don't think I would be the person I am today. So from early on, you just were such a guide for me, like literally an angel. I will just say she was an angel on my path that came to like put me in the right direction and also initiated me into energy healing and holy fire and just so many other amazing things that I am today because of you. So I just wanted to thank you and welcome you onto the podcast.
Well, thanks for making me cry too. That was beautiful. I wasn't even expecting that. So thank you, honey. Well, you know what? You are such a bright light too, honey. But that warms my heart. It does. And it like literally I don't even know what to say. For once, I'm at a loss for words, and that doesn't happen often, honey. So thank you.
We're both wiping our eyes and crying. I'm trying not to
I
break
know.
into tears.
I
Okay.
know. My goodness. Okay. Well, this is awesome. What a way to start the day. I love it. Anyway, go ahead, honey. Thank you. And I am very honored to be here because you are such a bright light.
Oh, I love you so much. So let's start this episode just by you introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about who you are and the incredible work that you're doing in the world.
Thanks, honey. So I am Connie Smock, also known as Connie Warrior of Light. Some people may even call me Tinkerbell. All the above. I answer to pretty much anything. And I was very, very fortunate to be raised with a mom who is an intuitive, a magnificent intuitive, and a healer. I and a medium as well. She doesn't like doing the mediumship though. She always says anytime someone comes to her, she's like, go see Connie. That's not me. You want to go see my daughter because she doesn't want anything to do with it. It's not for everyone, right? Because your body's not your own. Your life is really not your own because you're constantly being pulled energetically with spirit a lot, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. I love it. But that is how I was raised. This was my normal. So I was very fortunate. Back then though, many, many years ago, I don't want to say how many, but when I was growing up, this was not mainstream. Even in my live events, I always share this story because it's kind of funny. Because back when I was growing up, you're on the playground with the kids and you're talking about all this spiritual stuff and intuitive and healing and ghosts and whatnot and speaking to dead people, and they're like, "You're weird." And then I'm looking at them, you don't talk to dead people? You're weird. And I became the weird kid. I realized I was the weird kid back then because you did not talk about this stuff at all. It was just not what it is. Now it's cool almost,
Yeah.
it's not that it's cool. It's everybody is realizing that everybody's waking up. This is a great time in life. And I'm getting chills even as I'm talking about this, where people are becoming more awake in terms of realizing that there is something else out there energetically, whatever anyone calls it. There's no judgment in whatever name it is, whether it's God, source, universe. I always just say universe because I want to encompass everything. For what any belief, it kind of all falls into that category. Whatever you believe in, as long as you believe in something and it works and it's positively affecting you, then that's amazing and that's incredible. So it's without judgment. But now I went through a phase where I resented my mom for a little bit because I was such the weird kid. Then I became the cool kid again back around high school because all my friends would come over to check in intuitively with my mom to see what their boyfriends were thinking or if some so and so liked them or what they thought about them. So then I became the cool kid again because everybody wanted intuitive information from my mom because nobody knew of an intuitive back then like that. My mom is the only one who I knew back then growing up.
Yeah.
So that's just how it was. And then that evolved. I've always been into self-help. Little did I know it would be what I would be doing for my life purpose. But I wasn't really a TV watcher growing up. Usually, I mean, of course you would watch, certain movies or whatnot, but even in my 20s, even into my 30s and 40s, I really didn't watch a whole lot of television. And I remember she just reminded me of this not too long ago. I had told one of my friends, I had said, this was back, I think in our 20s, because people would ask me, have you seen this movie? I'm like, nope, nope, nope. Like I felt so bad because I didn't have anything in common with people who watched a lot of television because I just didn't. And I said, my feeling is when I'm watching television, I'm watching people live their dream and I want to live my dream. And so
Mm.
I focused on self-help, on anything having to do with psychology or the brain or emotions and how to process emotions or connect with spirit. So I took tons of classes and read, I can't even tell you how many books and audios, anything. Like I was a sponge. I just wanted to learn everything that I could about it. So that's how it all kind of started evolving. And then I started becoming certified in all these Reiki, different forms of Reiki, Qigong, Theta healing, access bars. I'm trying to think of all Kuan Yin, magnified healing, all these different modalities. Reiki is always my go-to, and Qigong though, no matter like those two for whatever, those are my base. And then I just kept working my intuition. The beauty now is these energies are supporting people who are into their spiritual growth and their intuition. What took me months, if not years, to accomplish, people can do it within days now. And all they have to do is practice. Just like any
Mm.
muscle, spirituality in terms of your gifts, clairvoyance, intuition, whatever you want to call it, clairaudience, all of those. It's just like a muscle. You just have to work it. But everybody has the gift. Everybody can use it. And it's tapping into that higher self or that higher knowledge to use it to be able to live your life more happily and more authentic. And so you don't have to, I don't want to say, because there's no judgment in anything, there's no right or wrong. But when you are tapping into that intuition, it helps navigate. I just heard the word navigate. It helps you navigate quicker and easier to where it is you want to go. So you're not taking all these other unnecessary roads to get to one space. You can almost get there a lot quicker. And that space is wherever it is you want to go. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah. No, I love that. And I love too that you touched on like spirituality wasn't mainstream. I don't even think when you came into my life that it was mainstream either. Cause I can
Mm.
remember being 20 years old and being like, what? Like, what? Like, I went from not believing in anything to all of a sudden, like, a veil was lifted. And I was like, like you said, like the sponge, and I wanted to soak up and learn everything. So, what was that journey like for you since, like, you said you grew up with a mom who was very supportive, but to be a person who had these spiritual gifts and who felt this calling, like, to to God or to the universe? Like, how did you really navigate that and really step into who you are? Like, what do you think would be the best, how do I want to put this? Like, what would be your one word of advice to someone who is feeling that call right now? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So for me, I didn't know why I was doing each thing in my life. I can guarantee you one thing, whatever you are doing, it's always building on something to lead you to your life purpose or to what will benefit you later on. Even when I opened up I was always in insurance, and then I opened up with another partner. We opened up an adjusting service company, and I literally trusted. One thing is I've always trusted in the universe, and that's what has gotten me so far. I write about this in my book. It's like, it's really, you have to truly trust though, and not have that underlying fear. Because if you have the underlying fear, those underlying doubts, that's what creates people being stuck.
Yeah.
I don't want to say I don't have fear. How about this? There's not much that I fear. I do have a lot of trust, which is why synchronicities line up for me. And we were just talking about this earlier. It's
Yeah.
sometimes I don't know why they're lining up for me, and it doesn't make sense in the moment, and yet it always ends up making sense at some point. So for me, in terms of, I guess, my journey, when I started that business, I was the sole breadwinner of my family because my former husband didn't work. So it was a big risk, me letting go of the health insurance, of the 401k, of all of a steady paycheck to be able to start a business. But I kept hearing that is what I needed to do. It was very strong. It was a very strong message. And
Yeah.
I I didn't have a savings account to speak of, and I did it anyway. But we made it work. Things kept lining up, and every time I literally would not have a penny in my bank account, and I would manifest the money I needed for that month, or that new client that we were waiting for to come in, or it just different things would line up when exactly at the same point when I needed them. But the universe is going to test you. The universe is going
Mhm.
to, are you going to go to fear and doubt? Even when you have nothing, are you really truly going to trust that you will be provided, that you can create whatever it is that you want in your life? But you can't
Mm.
have that underlying doubt. And I guess that would be my biggest piece of advice, because that will keep you stuck for sure, is the underlying, what about this? Or what if I don't get it? Or what happens if this? And letting go of all of that, and trusting that, letting go of your outcome too, of what you think is good for you, because the universe might have something bigger and better even planned for you, meaning you, the audience, whoever, and
No,
not to
me.
limit it. I know, anyone, just not yet, but anyone, and not to really limit it. And I've been tested over and over and over, but I know enough about energy. That's why I wrote the book, because I know enough about energy to know that I am creating my own reality. So whatever
Yeah.
is in my life is here for a reason and and a purpose. And the people in my life are here for a reason and a purpose and a season. Sometimes they're not meant to be in our life forever. And it's trusting that when people leave or go, or the job leaves or go, that it happened for your highest and greatest good. Usually what happens, and I know in my experience, this has happened to me, in times where I haven't left something that I knew I needed to leave, or my soul kept calling me to do something else, it ends up that the universe steps in, and it's going to be chaotic, right? It's
Yep.
going to be a chaotic exit, if you will. And like, looking back at different things, that either people or relationships or jobs, whatever I've left, sometimes there was a lot of drama involved in chaos. And there were times I'm like, wow, I wish I had done that differently. But then I thought, if I did do it differently, it wouldn't have had the same outcome, and I wouldn't be where I am today learning my life lessons. So it's not feeling guilty or bad about anything that happens. It's really, truly trusting that it's all happening for a reason, and being intuitive. My guides will always share something with me, but they don't always give me the answers. So if
Right.
that would be another piece of advice, is that I would give to people. People may be feeling, well, I'm not really getting guidance then because they didn't tell me to do this or to do that, or yes or no. Sometimes guidance they're not there to tell us everything or to give us all the answers. They're exactly what it is. They're here to guide us. So
Mm,
sometimes we were just talking about this when I was leaving my house and I had to sell my house. I had no idea where I was going to go. I couldn't get a house on my own. I literally had no clue where I was going to end up. And I just totally trusted it. And I checked in with my guides. I'm like, all right, guides, what am I going to do? And they said, go back to your own home. Like, what do you mean go back to my own home? What does that mean? Well, I just let it go. And sure enough, they were right. The guy who we sold the house to was renting the house, and now I'm renting my own home. So
yeah.
we may not always understand what the guidance is, but just trust it, because if you're getting something, then that means that they're here to tell
Yeah.
you something. So I guess that the other piece of advice I would give people is to trust that, actually, that's what I said before, is to trust it and trust the process, trust in the universe. I know sometimes it feels like the universe is against us, but if we believe that the universe, God, or anyone is against us and that it's a hard world and cruel and you can't get ahead, then that's what it's going to be. But if you
Yeah.
believe that it's a world full of opportunity and it's a beautiful world and we're here learning our life lessons, and the quicker we learn them, that we can have what we want, we can have Christ consciousness here on earth, then that's what it will be. It's really a choice, but it's hard to do when you're in that chaos, when you're in that moment of struggle and feeling like, helpless. I just heard the word helpless. People feel helpless sometimes.
Yeah. And I love what you said too about like spirits here to guide us. I think the whole other, part of this is about people. I hear this all the time too, like, oh, well, I don't get anything. It's like your
Mhm.
intuition, spirit, God, source, whatever you want to say, is always communicating with you. But if you don't listen and take the little nudges on the small things when you do have, a job loss or a big decision to make, why do you think you're going to have, access to spiritual guidance then when it's like you don't listen to it all day long? And it could be something as silly as like turn left here, or,
Mhm.
go put on this song, or go to this place, call this person. Like those are ways spirit also communicates with you. But if you're so used to discrediting and not listening to your intuition, it's a lot harder to have that trust and have that faith or have that connection when you feel that state of hopelessness, or when you're in like on your knees with God and like want help with the big things. It's like, what does your relationship look with God every day? Like with your intuition, with connecting to your channel. And I think, like what you're sharing is such an important thing for people to really realize, is that like this is something you have access to all day long, not just when you're in a state of like, change, or, transition, or, you feel stuck. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. It's hard. And it's hard and I think that is the most difficult, is when you're in that space where you feel stuck, is to really trust. But again, that's where you need it the most. That
Yeah.
the universe is going to, I hate to say it, and I hate to use the word test, because some people say, oh, they don't test. I'm like, I feel they do. That's just my belief. What are you going to do? Are you going to go to fear or love? Because how do you know if you're really learning that lesson of
Yeah.
true trust if you don't have things put in your place to be able to trust, to be able
I
to
don't know
know?
why, but I keep getting this image of like Tarzan and he's got the ropes. And it's like, you have to let go of the past. You have to let go, right? You have to trust, you have to surrender in order to get to the other thing. And we stay in this limbo because we're like, I'm not ready to let go, but I'm trying to move forward. It's like you create this polarity where it's like surrender is the medicine. Like just let go, like trust, and like the door will appear, the vine will appear, whatever. But I think so many of us don't have that level of trust like you do in God, in the universe, so it's like we hold on to relationships, things, whatever in our lives, the past, because we don't believe anything new's coming, you know
You're absolutely right. I love that analogy and I love that image. And I've never heard that before, but that's exactly what it's like. And imagine Tarzan just swinging in one spot, right?
Yeah.
Because he's so he that is not you, but whoever it is who feels fear and they don't want to take that leap to be able to go to that next vine to get them out of wherever it is. I love that. That is perfect. But that's exactly what it is. When you truly trust, it's like, it's the other thing too is not, let's say, and I love the fact too that you brought up the synchronicities or things lining up and something will happen and not acknowledging it, not realizing the fact of the little things too. Because when you start being grateful for those little things that show up for you,
Yeah.
that creates more awareness. Just like success begets more success, right? Same thing with awareness. The more you're aware of things and being grateful for those little things that show up for you, it's almost like a ripple effect. It's like a
Mhm.
snowball, right? Building and gaining momentum. So the more you're doing that every single day, then that's just going to create, each day gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And I feel like that helps, at least I know that helped me build confidence. And the more that I was grateful, the more synchronicities actually showed up. Even if it's just, animals speak to me all day long. I'll either see them in my mind's eye, so I'll look up what the spiritual meaning is, or a chipmunk will run in front of my car and then dart back. So I'll look up the meaning of chipmunk. A butterfly will fly up and fly in my face and then fly away. So I'll look up butterfly. I have they do it with clients too. This one lady came walking when back when I had my office out there. It was interesting because this bee flew right by our heads inside my office and went on the window. And I kept trying to get him out and he wouldn't get out. And I said, you know what? I said, look up the meaning of bee. And as soon as we look up the meaning of bee, I guarantee he's going to fly out. We looked up the meaning of bee. He got right out and flew right out the door. But that's because everything has a meaning. Every person in our life, every animal, every insect, everything. So it's really becoming aware and looking at it and being grateful. I wake up in the morning, every morning when I'm in the hot shower, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for this. Even just simple things like that,
Yeah.
that this hot shower or my bed when I lay down at night, or the lights that I turn on, because there's a lot of people who don't even have that. So the
Yeah.
more we become grateful.
And I think too, it's, I like spirituality has become really mainstream. It's out there now. And I think everyone also, like, especially if you're a spiritual entrepreneur or, you want to activate your gifts, everyone wants instant gratification and they think they're going to like quantum leap and just get the thing where like what you're sharing and what I've realized in my life is that like soul guidance is really more about like breadcrumbs. And do you have those moments where like you have a big manifestation or a quantum leap or a miracle fall? Absolutely. I've had things like that in my life happen where I'm like, wow, like that was like nothing but God could have done this. And I've also realized that so much of the path to really be spirit led or to have trust in communion, like with God, with universe, is like following those breadcrumbs. And it's like you said, spirit test you. I feel like they give us these opportunities or obstacles. And it's like, can you meet me here? I'm going to give her this little drip or this little breadcrumb. Can she draw awareness to this and meet this? But it's like people I see fail to really receive those breadcrumbs or follow those breadcrumbs, but then they want the loaf of bread at the end. Do you know what I mean? It's like spirit's like, I'm right
Yeah.
here. I'm right here. Hey, I told you to go paint. I told you to go dance. I told you to go do this. I don't know why I don't feel joy. I don't know why I can't connect with my femininity. It's like spirit's like, I've been screaming at you all day, but you won't even pick up these little drips, but you want this. Do you know what I mean? So I think
Mm-hmm.
you and I were talking before too about soul guidance. And it's like sometimes it doesn't seem logical and sometimes it doesn't look like it makes sense, but it is like, you following that little drip or breadcrumbs that leads you to the next thing or this unveiling or this door opening or this relationship or insert blank. But it's like, can you trust what God's giving you right here in this moment that it's perfect and that it's what you need, you know?
No, yeah, and that's perfect. Again, love the breadcrumbs analogy. And want the loaf of bread. That is so true because it is
Yeah.
something that, again, it is a muscle. While these energies are supporting people who are developing their gifts, and you can move through them way faster than when I was growing up. Like I said, it took months, if not years, I'm going to say decades for me to actually be able to see auras and color. Um,
Yeah.
and now people are first class. They're seeing colors and they're feeling and they're sensing. And, but yes, to be able to trust your inner guidance, that takes practice, and it takes also, practice on working on those gifts, like you said, and picking up those
Yeah.
breadcrumbs, picking up, massaging that muscle and working it.
Well,
Absolutely.
spirits, I feel like spirits here to guide us, like you said, like more than ever, since this planet's been around, we probably have access to like energies really supporting, like Gaia is ascending, the collective is ascending, like we're seeing it on a massive scale. And as human beings, we still have free will. So it's still like you have to like choose and have awareness and consciousness to those things. Like, do you feel like people have like a set destiny and who they're here to be and like how they're supposed to serve? Or do you feel like we always have a choice?
Both. I
Yeah.
feel there is a set destiny, and I do feel like there is a choice, and we do have to take it. We do have to take, let me back up, the crossroads or the opportunity to be able to do it. So I feel like this is just my belief. Here's your destiny up at the top, and you're starting out at the bottom. It's kind of like what I said in the beginning, where you can choose, right? All these other pathways. We always have free will. So
Mhm.
we have a way we can go through something and we can choose this path. This path may feel like a quote unquote mistake, but we're also learning our life lesson. And then we make a
Right.
right, we make another turn and it seems like that same lesson is there. And then we make another turn, that same lesson is there because we didn't learn that lesson. We have free will. We can
Mm.
choose to set healthy boundaries with people if that's our life lesson. We can choose to forgive if that's our life lesson. But if we hold on to that resentment, we hold on to that unforgiveness, if you will, that only holds us back. So that's going to take us longer to reach that destiny at the top. But that destiny at
Yeah.
the top, that that we can get there, we can go straight there if we want by learning all of our lessons very quickly.
Yeah.
Right?
And
But that oh, go ahead, honey.
oh, I was gonna say the way like as you're explaining it, like the way that I'm like seeing it as like we have like free will. And then we have, we'll just say like God's will or
Mhm.
destiny timeline, whatever you want to say it is. And I feel that, we can always be making those choices and you have a higher consciousness or energy at play that's always like directing you and giving you opportunities like to get back on the destiny path or to God's plan for you. But it's like you still have to like make the choice to go there. But I feel like that energy is always like in parallel, like guiding you back into alignment and offering you opportunity to get back onto that. Does that make sense? Do you feel
Absolutely.
like that?
You 100%. That's exactly right. We're always going to be, I call them crossroads. We're always going to be provided crossroads, whether it's with people experiences to be able to choose differently for
Yeah.
our highest and greatest good and to help us learn those life lessons. I actually talk about all these life lessons in my book and what each one is and how to move through them a lot
Yeah.
quicker so you can live the life that you want, and get quote unquote unstuck. So yes, so with guidance, divine guidance, if you will, that's helping us by trying to put us back on track, like you said. But there's no right or wrong in that. Your soul has no time frame. You can go a whole lifetime with doing the same thing over and over and over and not learning the lesson. My belief is we just come back and we have to do it again. So that
Yeah.
destiny at the top, if we don't reach that, that's okay. It's not
Right.
it's that purpose. From what I'm feeling and what I'm seeing more and more with my clients is that more and more people are waking up to their calling. But keep in mind, it doesn't mean that a calling or a purpose is where you're speaking to masses and you're up in front of
Right.
people. Your calling can be one on one, whether you do it for a business or you're a stay at home mom and you raise children who are their divine purpose is to be able to do that, or you're raising children. And while you're raising these children, you're coming in contact with all these other parents and you're kind of being a natural counselor one on one. And I think people
Mhm.
have that misconception because if they're thinking, wow, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing because I'm at home or I'm this, they're not realizing how many people they're actually probably touching in the lives that they are touching. That is part of a purpose. They're still living a
Mm.
purpose. And as we ascend and evolve, our purpose may change. So it,
Well, and I think to me, I see purpose very differently than I think a lot of people see it or the way that it's been taught to us that, like, I think purpose is presented as something you do, right? Like, your purpose is to be
Mhm,
a doctor or a speaker, this or that. And I don't really agree with that. Like, to me, I think purpose is about who you are, right?
mhm,
Like, each of us has a unique essence, like a spark of divinity that, like, we can only be. And to me, our purpose is to be the full emanation of that God spark. And as we fully allow ourselves to anchor in that light and be that fullest emanation, we are in our purpose. So, whether that means like my purpose today is on here having this conversation that other people will hear and like it will activate some remembrance, something for them, amazing. But my purpose right here with you is just as important as it is to who I'm gonna be when I'm doing bubbles and bath time with my baby tonight, right? Like, I am my
mhm,
purpose, and I take it everywhere, and the utilization of it shape shifts into whatever I'm experiencing, right? What my reality maybe it was me helping that grandma lift the heavy 24 pack of Coca-Colas in her trunk the other day because she couldn't do it. Do you know what I mean? So I think purpose so much to me is about who you are and who you're being and that unique set of gifts or energetic mechanics you bring versus what you're actually doing. I guess to put it simply, it's like how you do it versus what you do is your purpose.
mhm. I totally agree. That's exactly right. Yeah. I and there's so many people who come, and I'm sure with you too, like they feel their soul is trying to grow. So they feel unsettled or
Yeah.
unfulfilled. So they're trying to figure out where they're supposed to be or where they're supposed to be going, but they don't know yet. But I promise you one thing, when it's time, you will know. It's like you
Yeah.
will know. It's okay. You don't have to have it figured out right now.
And, what's coming to me is that, like, I felt like that probably almost the last decade of my life. Like, I felt this dissatisfaction in my body, in my soul, and I think it was because spirit was calling me to more, and it was trying to put me on this path, but this whole time where I felt like I was trying to fill up with knowledge and certifications and doing all the things. What I was really trying to be filled with was God. It was to be
Mhm.
filled with more of like my divinity and my essence and my unique codes that I bring versus like externally trying to seek it. And it was like the more that I've like leaned back into to my connection with God and my uniqueness, it's like I feel fulfilled. I feel filled up. Do you know what I mean? Instead of
Mhm.
constantly feeling that stirring that, like, something's missing, like, if you feel that dissatisfaction, it's usually because, like, you're disconnected from yourself. And it's like the road back home is, like, always connecting back with, like, your own self. You're sovereign, you're God. You're God in human form. You're magic on legs, like, you are the antidote. I don't know.
No, you are right. That's the whole key is is learning about yourself, going inward, accessing that higher wisdom that we all have, whether you call it higher self, God, source, universe, whatever it is, tapping into that and trying to be better today than you were yesterday. That is really
Mm.
all what it's about, and not trying to be this perfect person because trust me, I am far from
Nobody.
perfect. I am far. And I'm still learning and growing and learning my life lessons too. And I every day I'm like, oh, okay, I got to do this differently next tomorrow. But the key is, did you learn from it? So,
Yeah.
and not to beat your, I don't know why this is must be really important for whoever's going to be listening to this, but I keep hearing no regrets and not to feel guilty. Guilt is the lowest vibration there is. It's even lower than anger. It's even lower than fear. Like guilt is the lowest, and shame. So when we are in that vibration, we are actually perpetuating that very same energy, that low vibration. And when I say perpetuating it, what I mean is because whatever vibration we're giving off, we're getting back as experiences. So it's like a cycle. So when those people feel like, why does this always keep happening to me? Right? Or you just feel like
Yeah.
you're getting pummeled by life. It's because of the vibration that we're carrying. And that's that suppressed guilt. It can be anger and fear too, but that suppressed guilt, anger, remorse, whatever it is that we have that we've just shoved down to survive, we need to get that out of our body to be able to get us unstuck. And that is very important and very key. So things like what you're doing, honey, with the Reiki and the shamanism and all of that, and that healing work, all of that helps to get all of that suppressed emotion out of your body. Working out, deep breathing. 70% of physical and emotional toxins are actually released out of the deep exhalation out of our breath, because
Mm,
there's the kidneys, there's the bladder, there's the skin, the bowels, but 70% is actually through that deep exhalation. So you can be eliminating toxins. That's why working out is so important, because you get it through your skin, plus you get it through your breath, right? And
yeah.
that's one way of releasing. And you don't have to go to every single traumatic part or thing you feel guilty about or whatever it is to be able to release it. It's just acknowledging it. And yep, that happened, but you know what? I learned from it, and thank you for the lesson. And today, here's what I'm going to do differently.
Yeah.
And moving through that with confidence, that will get you unstuck. That will
Mm.
help you get that level.
I love this. And I don't know why this is the next question coming to me. So sorry, listeners, for jumping around, but you don't know Connie like I know Connie. And she has a wheelhouse of spiritual gifts. I will just say that. You are a very gifted woman. And at the beginning, you shared that we all have access to spiritual gifts, which I agree, like that it's a
Mhm.
birthright. It's part of our divinity. But my question for you is like, I yes, on one thread, I do believe like we all have access, but on another thread, from my belief or understanding is that like there are certain individuals who like some I don't know how I want to explain this. Some of those gifts are like supercharged or like more in tune, or do you know what I mean? And would you
Mhm.
say that like people who, for you, like you have a really strong connection with the other side. You can commune with spirit, past loved ones, angels, like very easily. Would you say like that's something that has been like a buildup from past lives, or why do you feel that some of us like come in with more of the veils lifted or more of these gifts turned on than others? Like what's the separation?
Wow, is that a great question? It's a loaded question too. So if I get
That's
off
a very
track,
long
I
question.
know that's okay. Pull me back in and rope me back in, because let's take the first part about the gifts. And I love how you said supercharge. That was so cute. And and thank you, by the way. How I explain to people is this. Think of someone who can take a baseball. A kid picks up a baseball bat, and this kid is like a natural, right? This kid just really knows how to swing that bat, and for whatever reason, it just seems like this kid naturally has these athletic abilities to be able, and they go pro. Where
Yep.
other kids can pick up a baseball bat and they don't have that same natural ability where it comes so easily, but they can practice, 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 and they can be just as strong and just as good as a person who has the natural ability. It is the
Yeah.
exact same thing with your spiritual gifts. And I do
Okay.
feel that some people come in, if you will, supercharged. There is no coincidence that I was raised with a mom to be able
Right.
to put me on this path. Oh, I did not know that I was going to be doing this for a living. I do know that I was raised with it, and that yes, I had the gifts. I turned them off for a little while, especially during like when I was really young. Um, in fact, my mom would try to encourage me to use my gifts, and I would say, "You just do it, mom. You do it. You're better at it, you know." And
Yeah.
she got to a point, it's like, "Nope, you need to do it. You need to." And I was like, I was, any kid, they want their mom to do everything, do it for them. But it really helped me because that helped me to develop that gift. So, yes, I was very fortunate. I do feel that that is a huge reason why I was supercharged. But again, these energies now are so supportive of people working with their spiritual gifts that what took me decades, people can do in a very short period of time. So I would encourage people to keep trying. If you feel like you're not getting a gift, there's so many different ways of receiving gifts. I don't know how much you want to get into it, but do you want me to quickly explain? Or
Oh,
do you
girl,
think
you could,
that's,
no, go into it. We love it.
well, I'll just do this because I guarantee most of the listeners are getting information. All of them are getting information. It's just sometimes we have more um of a gift that's more strengthened than the other. So there's
Mhm.
clairvoyance, right? That's all seeing, that's seeing things. But that's the only thing I can't do is I cannot physically see loved ones on the other side. But if I close my eyes, I can get attributes. I can see people's auras and I can see colors and I can see different types of energies. That's what I see. But that just happened in the last probably 14, 15 years. I remember being in a class with one of my friends, Dar, both of us were the same way. Everyone else, like, I see there, we have to stand up and you're doing auras and they're standing up there and all these people like, oh yeah, I see y'all. Oh, I see this angel over. There's a little boy on her right hand side. And I remember looking at her and my friend and I'm like, I don't see anything. She's like, me either. I'm like, I was so frustrated. I'm like, how can I be raised with this? And yet I can't see, right? But if you had all of your gifts at one time, your body cannot handle it. It just
Mhm.
cannot, unless you're like raised with it, like born, like you come in with it. If you try to do and have it all at once, think of a battery that short circuits. That's what would happen because it's energy. You're working with
Right.
energy whenever you're doing this. So that's clairvoyant. Clairaudient is where it's all hearing. You hear it. I do not hear them physically like how we're talking. I hear them in my own voice, very subtle, very, very quiet, and it fades in and out really fast, like a nanosecond.
Mhm.
So that's how most people hear it. There are people who can hear it how we're talking. My experience, what I have found is when you hear loved ones on the other side like that, those are ones who are not crossed. Um,
Yeah.
but again, others may be able to hear them even if they are crossed. Then there's the clear cognizant, which is just a knowing. It was kind of like when I started my own adjusting company. It made no sense at all, not one iota of sense, but I knew I had to do it. I just knew it. And then from there, I took other courses. I took because I had to sell because I was never so I had to take marketing courses, sales courses. And believe it or not, if you knew me back when I was in the insurance industry, I was petrified of everything. I would, if I had to speak to a higher up, I literally would get hives. If I had to have a
Yep.
meeting, but even when I was a manager, I had to wear turtlenecks if I had to have a meeting. Cause if I had to speak, cause I'm so fair, I'd break out in this rash and my face would get red. Right. But the thing is, my point is, everything builds on everything. It may not make sense of why you had to do this job or why you had to take this course or wherever life is leading you. Just trust the process. Little did I know taking the marketing courses and the sales courses and the presentation course would help me to be able to speak to hundreds of people now in an open forum for my mediumship,
Yep.
right? I love it now. If people who knew me before would never have guessed that I would love to do this and that this would be me. So don't ever discount anything. So that's clairaudience. Then there's claircognizant. Which one am I missing?
They're
Clairvoyance.
sentient.
Clairsentient. Thank you, honey. So all feeling. And that's how I get a lot of my information. And a lot of people I guarantee they're getting this information too. They just don't realize it. A lot of times it feels like a panic attack. I don't have anxiety, but when spirit's around, I feel anxious,
Yep.
right? It feels like there's an
Morning.
elephant on my chest. I start breathing shallow. It's like I want to work out, but I can't work out. I want to sit down, but I can't sit down. I feel very unsettled. If it's somebody with a heart issue, my heart will hurt. If my brain dizzy, is something with the brain if I get dizzy. So Alzheimer's, dementia, stroke. An aneurysm is generally or someone hitting their head. I'll get a sharp pain in my head. My breast will hurt if it's breast cancer. The other side, the spirit knows the left side is heart, right side is breast cancer. I feel sick to my stomach. That's cancer. So everyone is getting information, but now when I say this, a little caveat, if you are experiencing symptoms, please make sure you get them checked out, right?
I'm not a
Last thing I want is But Connie said it was nothing. It was spirit, right? But I know enough. But I'll tell you, if I really truly am having a heart issue or something, I don't know that I would know the difference because my heart really, really hurts like I'm having a heart attack. So
Mhm.
I don't, this is I'm guessing spirit will let me know the difference at the time. And maybe it won't let up. I don't know, but hopefully I won't ever have to find out. But anyway, people would think I'm a hypochondriac. Seriously, if I went into the hospital, thinking like every time, well, hang on, I'm having a stroke. Nope, hang on, it's a heart attack. Wait, hang on. Nope, I think it's cancer. Right? Yeah. So it's just a matter of working with the gifts. So I think I answered that question, honey, in a roundabout way with letting people know, yes, you can learn about this. This is why some people come in supercharged. Again, I was blessed because now I see the purpose. I was meant to be teaching people and to be doing things on a larger scale. And so the different things that I've done along the way had to be the way that it was, even the endings of certain relationships or jobs, to be able to have me in this space now where I am helping so many people.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes, and I completely agree, though. I think it is something we all have access to, and yes, you can work on it, build it, it's all about your relationship with spirit. It's a relational thing. What it looks like for you is different than what it looks like for me, so kinda going back to the beginning of that conversation, like, work on it like a muscle, and I also see it from people I've worked with and just people I've studied under that some of us just have these innate gifts that are God given, that are supercharged, that you come in and like you do have access. And like, if that's you, then like lean into that and like honor that and hone in on that. And oh gosh, okay. I just feel like I could talk to you forever about spirit and
Me
gifts,
too.
but
I could do this. I know.
we'll be here all day, but, I do wanna give you an opportunity to kinda tell us a little bit about, like, if there's someone listening to this and they wanna reach out to you and work with you, like, what are you offering in the world right now so that people can really get a taste of your medicine or work closely with you? What do you have for our listeners?
Oh, thank you, honey. You can go to my website. It's conniewarrioroflight.com, and I'm sure you'll have it somewhere on there too.
Yep.
And so right now I have where I do live events. So I'm in an open forum where I deliver messages from the other side. Absolutely love doing that because it's so much fun and heart healing and warming when you hear other people's stories. And I interject motivational speaking or life tips or things from my book. My book is another one, which is going to be uploaded. I know, ready for November 30th for the ebook. And then shortly after that will be the paperback will be available. And it's Shift Your Life. I'm sorry, Shift Your Energy, Change Your Life. And it really is about the stuff we just talked about. It's shifting your energy. If you don't like what's going on, whether, that with how your life is going, it's really when taking a look at that and start shifting your energy. And when you start shifting your energy, everything shifts around you and starts lining up for you. And I just give a bunch of tips on doing that. I do one-on-ones with readings, whether it's for guidance or for the mediumship, connecting with loved ones on the other side, as well as programs which are on my website to help strengthen relationships and build relationships that I do with Laura that we do together with the Michigan Medium Angels. And I'm trying to think what else. I feel like there's more, but I think that's it for
There's
now.
probably more. Well, I will just say, I think I have had an opportunity to experience all of your services. I've had you for soul guidance. I've done your programs. I've experienced your mediumship, your Reiki. And I will just tell you, like 10 out of 10, like stars. Like if you could give
Aw,
more, I would give more. But if you have been wanting to connect with your loved ones on the other side, if you're looking for someone who's really plugged in and turned on to the inner planes and the higher realms, and Connie is 100% your girl. I owe so much of my path and just trusting myself and my relationship with spirit to you. So I will always be like your biggest cheerleader and telling everybody to work with you because you changed my life and I just love you.
Thank you, honey. You make me cry again. Stop. Thank
You
you.
got to start on tears and end in tears, don't you know?
I know, right? Jeez. Well, honey, and you're very gifted too, honey. You had it in you all along. I was just there to show you your spark. That's it. You always had it, love. Yeah.
Well,
So
I love
thank
you so
you.
much. Thank you. Thank
Oh,
you for
I
being
love
here, for your
you.
time, and just who you are in the world. And I love
Thank
you.
you. I love what a great day. Thank you, honey.
Thank you so much for joining us today for this super important conversation, you guys. I absolutely love having guest speakers on this podcast for this exact reason, to create a space, to share a platform, to give recognition to so many of these amazing, talented women who are out there just doing and being the damn thing in this world. And if you really were feeling resonance or even triggered by this conversation, I would really encourage you to get into my world, to start immersing yourself with other women who are doing the exact same thing, to the powerful women, the mystics, the healers, to the wise women, just, the complete disruptors that feel like they don't belong anywhere. I'm your home. So, if you're looking to explore this deeper, I curate high level one on one and group containers where we go deep. And if you're looking to get a taste of my medicine and my world, I would highly suggest you signing up for my Pleasure, the Pathway to Healing Masterclass, and take a look at some of my freebies in the show notes. I'd love to connect with you, and let's talk soon.